She was the epitome of 1960s glamour, a rising star with an angelic presence, a woman whose beauty and talent captivated audiences worldwide. But behind the dazzling smile and the Hollywood fairy tale lay a story cut brutally short. This is the life, the legacy, and the tragedy of Sharon Tate, a woman remembered not just for how she died, but for how she lived. Sharon Marie Tate was born on January 24, 1943, in Dallas, Texas, to Doris and Paul Tate. The eldest of 3 daughters, she was shy yet strikingly beautiful, a quality that would define much of her life. Even as a little girl, Sharon had this glow about her. She wasn't vain though, just sweet, always smiling. When Sharon was 6, her father's military career took the family to Italy. There, she developed a love for European cinema, a passion that would later shape her acting ambitions. By her late teens, Sharon's beauty was undeniable. She won local pageants, modeled for ads, and dreamed of Hollywood. In 1960, she moved to Los Angeles, determined to make it as an actress. Her agent said in an interview, "She walked into my office, and I knew this girl was going to be a star. Not just because of her looks, but because of how she carried herself." There was something magical about her. Like many starlets, Sharon started small. Bit parts in TV shows like The Beverly Hillbillies and Mr. Ed. But her big break came in 1966 with Eye of the Devil, a gothic horror film where she played a mysterious seductress. Critics praised her performance, noting her eerie, magnetic presence. Hollywood was starting to take notice, and in 1967, Sharon met Roman Polanski, the brilliant but controversial director of Repulsion and Rosemary's Baby. Their chemistry was instant. One of her friends said in interviews Roman was obsessed with her. And Sharon, she saw something in him, a kind of genius. They were this electric pair, the golden couple of the moment. In 1967, Sharon starred in Valley of the Dolls, the film that would make her a household name. As Jennifer North, the tragic blonde bombshell, she brought depth to a role that could have been one-dimensional. Audiences adored her. Critics called her a revelation. Sharon Tate was no longer just a pretty face. She was a star. In January 1968, Sharon married Polanski in a private ceremony. They moved into 10050 Cielo Drive, a secluded home in Benedict Canyon, a place they believed was their sanctuary. Before we talk about that horrific night which happened to Sharon Tate in that house, Cielo Drive 10050, where she was living at that time, let's discuss Charles Manson. Who was he? Charles Millis Manson was born on November 12, 1934, in Cincinnati, Ohio. His mother, Kathleen Maddox, was a 16-year-old prostitute, and his father, Colonel Scott, abandoned them before Manson was born. Manson spent his early years being shuffled between relatives and reform schools. By age 9, he was stealing and sent to a boys' school. At 13, he escaped and lived on the streets, surviving through theft and scams. By 19, Manson was in prison for car theft. Over the next decade, he was in and out of jail for crimes like check fraud and pimping. In prison, he studied psychology, religion, and music, learning how to manipulate people. Charles Manson was a career criminal who, after being released from prison in 1967, formed a commune-like cult called the Family. He manipulated his followers, mostly young, vulnerable women, into believing he was a Christ-like figure who could see the future. He preached an impending race war between black and white America, inspired by his twisted interpretation of the Beatles' song Helter Skelter. He believed that after the war, the black population would be unable to govern themselves and would turn to him as their leader before turning to cult leadership. Manson desperately wanted to be a rock star. He befriended Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys and even met record producer Terry Melcher, Doris Day's son, who lived at 10050 Cielo Drive before Sharon and Roman Polanski. When Melcher rejected Manson's music, Manson felt betrayed by the Hollywood elite. Though Melcher had moved out by 1969, Manson still associated the house with him. Manson had visited the house before *** when Melcher lived there. He knew the layout. Even though Melcher had moved out, Manson believed anyone living there was part of the establishment that had wronged him. Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski were famous, wealthy, and represented the Hollywood success Manson craved but was denied. August 9, 1969. 12:30 a.m. warm Los Angeles night up in the quiet hills of Benedict Canyon. The only light comes from the windows of 10050 Cielo Drive. Inside, actress Sharon Tate, 8 months pregnant, is enjoying a peaceful evening with friends. Hairstylist Jay Sebring, coffee heiress Abigail Folger, and her boyfriend Wojciech Frykowski. But outside, for members of Charles Manson's cult have crept onto the property. Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian. They cut the phone lines. No one would be calling for help. Their first victim was 18-year-old Stephen Parent. He was just leaving after visiting the property's caretaker when he was gunned down in his car, shot 4 times at close range. Then, the killers entered the house. What happened next would shock the world. Jay Sebring was shot and stabbed 7 times. Abigail Folger tried to flee, but was caught and stabbed 28 times. Wojciech Frykowski was brutally beaten, shot, and stabbed 51 times. And Sharon Tate, begging for the life of her unborn baby, was stabbed 16 times. Before they left, the killers smeared Sharon's blood on the front door and scrawled one chilling word, "Pig." The next day, the murders were everywhere. Front-page headlines that shattered the peace of Hollywood and left the world in disbelief. The trial that followed was a media circus. Charles Manson, though not physically present during the killings, was convicted of orchestrating the crimes. He was sentenced to death, later commuted to life in prison. His followers showed no remorse. Linda Kasabian, who had waited outside during the murders, would later testify against the others, helping bring them to justice. Sharon's sister once said, "My mother became a warrior after Sharon's death. She wouldn't let her be forgotten." Manson never even knew Sharon Tate, and that's what makes this story so terrifying. She was chosen not because of who she was, but because of where she lived. Right time, wrong place. But Sharon Tate's story did not end on August 9, 1969. Her light lives on in the hearts of those who loved her, in the films that captured her beauty, and in the legacy she left behind. She was more than a victim. She was Sharon Tate, and she will never be forgotten. This tragic story raises hard questions about manipulation, violence, and how blindly people can follow darkness. What are your thoughts on the Manson case? Share your perspective in the comments below. For more true stories, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and stay safe.